All right, we're live. Today we got a special guest. We got Chris Martinez, my father, joining me and Sal today. And there's a reason for that. Because Sal a couple weeks back said he wanted to talk about the movie A Bronx Tale and how he related to it throughout his life and especially growing up. It really, when it drew him into it, was the same thing that the young kids see, the character that was in the movie, the main character. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the other scenes that were involved in this movie as well, and just how relatable they were with Sal and other stuff as well. But my dad, I brought him on, because he put me onto this movie when I was a kid, and he's played it 1,000 times. He's watched it so many times, and so is Sal. So we just thought it'd be only right to talk about this today. So, Sal, how you feeling?
Good. I thought about this particular film. I remember where I was. I was in Hollywood, just had got there a few years, and how I looked at it, looked at the project, look at the origin of that movie and the guy who wrote it, and then slowly I realized that he met characters back there in that area, that period in the Bronx, and he used those characters in his movie. And of course, I always knew, I don't know how I knew, that one of the characters, which was called the Whale,
Mm-hmm.
Jojo the Whale,
Yeah.
he was based on a character that I was in prison with, which was a guy named Louis Fat Gigi Inglis. And that guy was the character. So, the problem that I sometimes have with film is that I look at the movie that the writer and director have created, and I see some characters that are bigger than the lead. Like the Jimmy Burke character to me in Goodfellas was so much bigger than Ray Liotta and Henry Hill, because Henry Hill was basically a low-life drug dealer, a drug
Yeah.
user, and yet Jimmy Burke was a total bona fide criminal, a professional criminal who would rather be involved in crime than do anything. So I saw the Jimmy Burke character as
In that
bigger.
in that
And then,
movie, I'm sorry, Sal, but in
yeah,
that movie, when the Bronx Tale, it said that the whale, you didn't walk with them, you walked amongst them.
right. But the whale, when I
I just,
realized that Jojo the whale was really
oh yeah,
Louis Inglis, you know, uh, that I was in prison with, that guy was bigger than life himself. So they couldn't really paint his character who he
so
really
you could
was.
fucking get fatter by the hour. They said in that
Yeah,
movie.
he would have stole the show. And while I was in prison with him the whole summer of
Yeah.
1974, he was the best storyteller. I
Oh,
wish I could be as good a storyteller as he was.
yeah.
He was
So,
with the Purple Gang too, and we did a whole
yes,
episode on
yes.
him.
And so they just put his little character in there, sort of maybe as a
Just an
tribute to
add-on.
who he was. And
Yeah.
the guy was bizarre. I don't know if I told you the story, how
Oh,
he
yeah.
gave away $50,000 for riding a limousine to a Yankee game.
That's insane, man, just to do that. But
Yeah,
with today's episode, let's go to like the beginning scenes of this movie
right.
and what really stood out. So, Dad, I'll kind of let you lead on that.
Well, so
Dad,
in the beginning, I wanted to ask Sal. I wrote some notes down, but I really don't want to do a script. But um, so like uh, you grew up obviously years before I did, and your neighborhoods were different. And Midwest from East Coast to West Coast were obviously different. The neighborhoods I grew up when I, living here in Nebraska, you had Hispanic families, you had German families, you had Greek families, you had, there was a couple African American families, and everybody seemed to get along together.
Right.
I know I talked to people over the years that lived in New York, lived in New Jersey, and Irish people didn't go into Italian bars. Italian people didn't go into Irish bars. They had that line that they didn't cross. But when I grew up, it was like maybe it was 20 years later down the road, but we never had a problem with each other. Our families helped each other out. And it seemed like I don't know if it's just TV that these people don't respect each other or they don't get along together. But how was that over there, Sal? How was that?
You know what? All you have to do is think about, if you're old enough to remember, for you it'd be the 70s, for me it'd be the 50s, how isolated each ethnic group was. It was a comfortable isolation, and they did respect each other. But today, when you see the stuff that's going on, there is no respect. There's no line, no respect. People just go to a Kansas City Super Bowl celebration and shoot people. No one could have ever envisioned such a thing to happen. So we are in a different place in America today. So some of these movies that are really historical, don't forget, Bronx Tale was done over 30 years ago, and it was set 20 years before that. They had to paint life the way it was in the 60s.
I'll add into that, like in the beginning scenes, they have young C in there and he's with his friends, and then the African American kids come by, they get in the
Right.
neighborhood,
Right.
and then they start beating them up and saying racial stuff to them. When you were young, I mean, was that like the norm, like for you?
Yes.
Or
They
okay,
didn't come into our neighborhood, the Italian neighborhood. They did not come into the Italian neighborhood.
did you go into theirs ever?
No. Well, Foxy and I, we we made some dubious, decisions to go in and rob, which I have not talked about. And I will talk about this one time that we robbed a drug dealer, and eventually it sort of backfired on us because Gotti and Cataldo thought if we robbed that black drug dealer, maybe we were the guys who robbed the Italian drug dealer, which was for $1 million. And I'm going to talk about that soon, one of these weeks, how we almost got killed for no reason.
Damn. But I mean, so getting back to this, but that was really like a present thing then, and you just kind of knew not to go into these
You
territories.
didn't go into the
So
black neighborhood unless you went in there with somebody who was known. You could
Mhm.
get access. You could even get respect if you went in there with another black guy or maybe a white guy that was known to the to the black drug dealers or the black leaders of the community, because they had tight communities. You didn't go on certain blocks, just as the black guys didn't go into the Italian neighborhoods. But we're talking 60s and 70s. All of that has evaporated.
yeah, see, when I was just stepping away from it for a second, if you don't mind, in 1990 or 91, 92, when I was in the U.S. Navy, I had a buddy. He was a black guy, but he was a lot older than me. But really nice person. I don't have nothing against anybody, but he's like, we're going to go to this crab joint. And I'm a crab joint. And he's like, yeah, we're going to go to this crab joint. It was under a viaduct. It was like way like sketchy. And he's like, you're with me. You're fine. Don't worry about it. And I says, man, I felt like something was going to happen. But we went in there and they had this big like witch kettle and they were cooking these crabs and just shucking them on the table. And he just started eating them. And then beers, $20 to get in. You wore an armband and everybody was your friend there. There was no trouble. There was no nothing. As long as you knew somebody that brought you there, you were good to go. And it's just like you were just part of the family. And they didn't have no diversity about you. They didn't care where you're from, what you're doing, what race you were. As long as you were there with someone and you weren't starting nothing, then nothing's going to happen.
So
And
that's
it was a cool
third,
point.
almost 35 years ago. Imagine 60 years ago how more isolated all of that was.
Yeah, and just everything evolved over time, I
Well,
suppose, from
change.
what it went. But
Yeah.
the next scene I wanted to talk about too was like, remember young C witnessed Sonny kill.
Oh, the
someone in front
lineup.
of him.
The
Yeah,
lineup.
the lineup. You lay that scene out, Dad.
That's
Like
what I got on number 2 right here, Adrian.
well, line up, like paint the picture
Don't be
for
a
everybody
rat.
listening. Paint the picture for everybody listening, like what that scene was
Yeah.
about. Like, explain it, Dad.
Well, so anyway, the lineup, he knew the son knew that what happened. He's like, Dad, I know. And his dad gave him a look. He gave him a look, and the look that is Robert De Niro that gave him was, "Don't you tell, don't you rat." He goes, "I know everything, Dad. I know everything."
Right.
Outside. So they're lining everybody up. He goes, "Was it this guy? Was it this guy? Was it this guy?" He's like, "No." And then he looks at Coffee Cake, the guy that's got the pits, and he's like, "Oh fuck, no, it's not that guy." Anyway, he comes to Sonny, and he's like, "No." And then later on, Sonny took him on as his child, like, I'm going to take care of you because you didn't rat on me. You weren't a rat. And then he asked Sonny later on in the movie, is it better to be loved or would you rather be feared? And he says, in the movie, he says, I'd rather be feared because you can give so much love, but fear lasts forever.
Right.
Well, I don't know. What do you feel about that, Sal? I mean,
well, that's true. And don't forget, reminiscent in Goodfellas, when Henry comes out of the jail, they all celebrate him. Not ratting out anybody. So that was the code in that life.
It's like a test.
There's no doubt that mob guys, they just didn't want love. They wanted fear. They worked on fear. Everything was about fear, how you could threaten, how you could intimidate people, whether they be witnesses, whether they be legitimate people, business people, or guys in the mob. So it was always a pecking order there. And we've talked about a lot of vicious criminals the last year here. Yeah. I mean, the Castle guy. Yesterday, I put the TV on, and National Geographic had a mob show on there. And I was looking up there at myself. I appeared in that show, and they were talking about Castle and what he did with those cops. I mean, all of that fit together. We didn't see any payoffs in Bronx Tale, but we did see intimidation. Quiet intimidation.
Yeah.
Well, with that, it's like, it was really like passing a test. And so, like you said, Henry Hill and he didn't rat, and that was him passing the test. And then C, not ratting, that was a test. And then eventually the mob guys took liking to him, groomed him.
Right.
And in your situation, though, I mean, like, how can you compare your situation to that? What was your young moment like where you could have had something, where you proved yourself, I suppose?
Well, I mean, I started young, got busted at 16 years old, had, instructions from my uncle, never talk to the cops, never give them information. So he bailed me out. Then at 20, I got busted again. He bailed me out, and it was unwritten. You just didn't give the cops any information. You gave nothing. You never talked about who your crime partners was, because I got busted for an armed robbery in 1970. I was only 25. And I never said a word to those arresting officers. But the two guys that got busted, one of them gave up the information. So luckily, I had a great attorney back then. Instead of, ratting out somebody, we just paid off the witnesses. In this case, in this example, you didn't see any payoffs in the Bronx Tale. It wasn't needed. It was all about respect and fear that the Chaz Palminteri character had. And yet the father, De Niro, he wasn't impressed with that fear. He said anybody could be a gangster, but the hard thing was to drive a bus, he said.
Wake up every day.
Wake up in the morning and go to work every day.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
And that's true.
His son told him he was a working man's a sucker. He says, no, anybody can pull a trigger.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, he goes, try to get up every day and try to do the 9 to 5. And that's a real man, he told his son.
Yeah. And the kid didn't buy it. He didn't want to be a bus driver. He did not want to be a bus driver. Well, that's understandable, because I said to Karen this morning, we were watching, Rod Stewart on CBS Morning, and everybody wants to be a rock and roll star, but they don't really understand the other side of it, all that you got to go through. Is it that glamorous? No, rock stars do drugs, they're self-destructive, they're egotistical, and that's the same thing with the mob guys. They maybe didn't do drugs, each one of them, but they were self-destructive. They gambled, wasted money. They were philanderers. They cheated on their wife. So what was so glamorous about being a gangster?
Well, that was the Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, well, that was what I was gonna lead into next, was like the glamour part, because with him, like he's seen Sonny on the corner, doing his thing with his hands and
He said
looking
only
nice.
had 5 fingers, but only used 2 of them or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do this every time, but
They had their suits and everything.
that part of the movie where he yells at his dad, he got mad at him because he took that money from him.
Right.
He said, I earned that, but what happens is his dad had to do something that probably he didn't want to really do, but his kid was yelling at him. He's like, Dad, you're a sucker. You're this, you're that, the other. And he slaps him.
Right.
He gives him a little slap on the face to his kid.
Yeah.
And then at that moment, the kid knows my dad ain't messing around, but he picks his son up and he carries him off in the scene.
Right.
But he loves him. He didn't want, the dad didn't want to do that. Of course he didn't.
No. But there was also a little
his
mixed
hand
message. There was a mixed message if you were carefully watching the film.
What's that?
When De Niro character went in and got that handful of money and he was going to return it, what did the wife say?
She
No,
wanted
no,
to
keep it.
Let's think about it. Let's think about it. We should probably keep that money. It's not
Yeah,
that
she was impressed too.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
my little
I
son got
remember,
a handful of money.
She even yelled at him from upstairs after he went down to walk in there and he threw the money on the bar.
Right.
He was like, hey, let's think about this. Well, he wanted to keep it, but he knew it was bad money, so he didn't want it for his kid.
Right. It was cursed money,
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say for the live viewers real quick, if you guys have any questions you want to ask Sal, myself, or my dad, or any topics you want to throw in about this movie that you want us to bring up or talk about, just throw them in there. We'll get to your questions here in about 3 minutes. We'll start talking. We'll go through them all. But
one of the things that I realized in that movie was both the characters wanted to help the kid, but they wanted to do it in their own way. De Niro wanted to help him by being a dad and telling him what the real deal was.
Yeah.
And then the gangster figured out, I got all these extra perks around. I can help him that way. So I thought that was interesting about the way they put the movie together, because, movies have an impact on people. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I told the story about going to see The Godfather in 1972 and what it did to us. And we got all excited. I mean, these are things that happen. Movies tend to change social acceptances. They change the way people dress, the way people talk. I mean, what did Wall Street do? Got people excited about doing illegal Wall Street scams. So movies have an impact. Yeah. Like this movie probably had an impact.
Yeah,
and
maybe you start acting different.
Right. Maybe you wouldn't be doing this mob stuff if you didn't see Bronx Tale.
Yeah, maybe. Could very well. Yeah. But here I'm going to go to some of these questions and stuff that people.
Questions, yeah.
Okay, so Joseph, he says, "Yo," he must be just tuning in or something, just saying what up. We got Dean. He's the one that he sent those gifts out. You got them? Where's it at?
Hey, thanks for those gifts. My wife will bring them over. I'll show them. Make sure you're watching, Dean. I gotta send Adrian his hat. So we got the stuff here. Thanks.
Thank you, Dean. We appreciate that, man.
Oh, wait, hold on. Here it is. Oh, this is Adrian's hat.
Adrian's hat.
Hey, check it out.
Now, that's cool, man.
That's the hat. What else we got here?
From Scotland.
Oh, Miss Karen got a makeup bag. Look.
Damn, what's this?
This is from Dean. Years ago, there was a guy named Dean Martin. He did a show. At the end of the show, he would say, "Hey, keep those letters and cards coming in." But look at all
part of the Rat Pack.
Oh, look at that! Oh shit, man!
Is it for a golf bag?
Yeah, we can have fun with this. Look, we got little trinkets.
Damn, man, he sent you everything.
Yeah. Thanks, Dean.
That's pretty cool.
Wait.
What? We got more.
Yeah, we got the personalized pinky ring.
Did we send Dean some cards? Did we send them?
No, I don't think we did. We can send them some. Oh, okay, you guys did.
We got our address.
Oh, look, we got a pinky ring.
Oh, damn, man.
Yeah, I guess this is going to be for you.
Yeah, start rocking it, man. That's
Yeah,
dope.
cool.
That's it.
Oh, thanks, Dean. We appreciate that, man.
Looks cool.
Yeah, he's one of the Patreon subscribers, man. He's always a nice guy, man.
Yeah, we'll
He-
share it. We'll show everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Travis here says, "Good morning, fellas. Good morning, Travis. Thanks for tuning in, man."
What about some comments on this movie?
Oh yeah, I'll get to them. They're just people are saying hello from Canada,
Okay.
UK. We got someone, Paul
Oh,
here.
yeah,
He
we got
says,
the guys out in the UK. Yeah.
Travis here says, "Great movie. Love to hear Sal's version of how it really was."
Yeah.
Pete here says, "My neighborhood, Queens,
Queensbridge.
yeah, in the '60s was a mixed race once, and for the most part, we all got along."
We did get along back then. That's right. Different walks of life, he said.
Leon here
Leon.
says, "Good morning."
Good morning,
Morning.
Leon.
Another good. This guy right here said he's going to send us some stuff here too. Sal,
Good,
remember?
good.
He says, "Good morning. Thanks for tuning in, man." He's been watching all of our shows, man.
Everybody knows we got viewers and people that like our stuff all over the world. This is kind of fun. It's taken some time, but it is fun doing this.
Yeah, no, it is. Let's see.
Keep your mouth shut and never rat on your friends. Yeah.
That was one scene from it too.
Yeah,
Lee here says the only thing that lasts
Unless-
forever is love.
that's
Yeah,
true.
True. Lee's another good subscriber, man. He's always tuning into all of our stuff. Pete here says, "My buddy Tony, how you say that last name, Sal?
Garner.
Connery. Yeah. Bob, let's see, Bob Dylan's bass
Bob
player,
Dylan.
said his motorcycle was in the scene of the Bronx Tale. Oh, the motorcycle scene.
You know which one it was?
Which
Yeah.
motorcycle was it, Pete?
The blue
You
one.
recall?
The
Yeah.
Triumph. It was a Triumph motorcycle. He sang a song about it.
Oh, okay.
Look at this. Music business worse than boxing.
Look here, we got Bubbles. He
Hey,
says, "Good
there's
morning."
Bubbles.
You know what? I'll tell you something, Adrian.
Huh.
That motorcycle, he sang a song about it. If you listen to the song, it was by Bob Dylan, "Tangled Up in Blue." He wrecked that motorcycle. He sang
Really?
a song about that motorcycle, "Tangled Up in Blue," and it was
Wow.
a Triumph motorcycle
Was it in
Probably
that scene?
model, maybe.
You
But-
recall it being in that scene?
I didn't notice in that scene. They're mostly Harley Davidsons, but I'm sure it was in there. But "Tangled Up in Blue" was a song he sang. He got in a really bad car accident. And then you know what? Years later, check this out. Years later, his son, Julian, he made a song. His Bob Dylan's son made a song called "One Headlight."
Really?
The band was called the Wallflowers.
Wow.
One headlight is, guess what? It's a motorcycle. Unless it's a car that's got one headlight out.
That's right.
His son made a song called "One Headlight," and it's a really good song. And it's a wallflower. Guess what a wallflower was? Well, Sal knows what a wallflower
No.
A
is.
guy who doesn't dance.
That was
No.
somebody that sat on the wall that didn't want to dance with the girls.
Right. The guy that
Oh.
hangs out on the wall. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everything happens for a reason. I'm telling you. So I got a lot of knowledge about things in history, especially music. Music always is one of my things. So
Well, we'll see if Pete has a follow up on that then. Mike here says, "Good morning,
Good
gentlemen." Good
morning,
morning,
yeah.
Mike. I think they're just talking to each other, yeah. Through there, Dean and Bubbles.
Yeah.
Sal, did you ever do business with anyone in the Bronx?
Not really. I never got up to the Bronx. I mean, we hijacked a couple of trucks up there. That was about it.
Here's one. This Johnny B from the Bronx says, "Good morning, guys. The bar scene is talked about all the time. Now you just can't leave."
now you can't leave.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah.
Let's
Lock the
see.
door and you turn away, and now you're under my discretion now.
Yep.
You know,
He-
most people.
Have
most
you ever
people
been
don't-
in a situation like that, Sal?
What's that?
That situation where the bar got locked and there was no way out, and you had to fight your way out, or
I don't think so. I don't think
I
the
mean, with
bar
them
door got
bikers,
locked.
they beat the shit out of them. But
Yeah.
You said you had
One time I had to go in and rescue Foxy. I had two guns. I pulled the guns out. The door was open. I backed him out. He was going to get killed by some Colombians. I don't know if I told that story.
I don't think you have.
Yeah, maybe we will. But one of the things that people, should know is that a lot of this stuff was so common that the guys in and around the mob, we thought it was normal, some of the things that we did, but it wasn't normal. It was just accepted by like the Italian guys to have this macho image, and again, if you guys think about some of the mob movies, in Carlito's Way, the whale is in that movie also.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
And they used his character too.
Yeah.
Look at this person here. They asked the same thing just now about that scene.
Well, I did have a fight with two motorcycle guys, two Hells Angels. I think I told the story, Adrian.
We did on Patreon, but I mean, if you want to do a little bit about it on here, I mean, you can.
Yeah.
Well,
they always had an image of being badass. And I went to a motorcycle shop with two guns standing in the middle of the street, and they locked the door on me. They wouldn't come out.
They weren't coming back out to fight.
No, but they apologized, the following year, and everything was cool.
Yeah. Do you want to expand on that story? They were asking, about the fight with the two bikers.
I don't know. Did I do that story about how they came to my front yard and my kid was a little kid, maybe a couple of years old, my oldest son. So I had to be, I know when it was. It was like 1971. And they threatened my family. They took out knives. And I ran to my Corvette and got two guns out, jumped in a U-Haul truck and chased those two guys, two motorcycle guys. I did in the middle of Queens, and stuck two guns in the air. Oh, the whole Gotti crew heard about it. It was, pretty bold in those days. I was definitely U-Bots.
Yeah, it was because you had cut them off, is what you told me, right?
Right.
Yeah. They got pissed off and followed you home.
Right.
Okay, well, let's go into the next scene here. Which is another one after
scene.
We talked about being glamorized and all that, but now we talked about the working man being a sucker.
Yeah.
Availability.
What's that?
Remember, availability was one of the. He said he wanted to live in his neighborhood because everything was available. The stores,
right.
Everything, he could control everything by being there. And if you're not like, if you can't control it, it'll take over like a cancer. You'll start getting bad people in there. And if you can't control them, then bad stuff starts happening. And that's when shit starts happening. So how true is that?
That's pretty true, because, the mob guys, the button men, they made sure there was order and fear in the neighborhood. The general population had a fear of mob guys. They just stayed away from them.
Yeah.
And, this is not just the mob men, the adults, the pressure on the kids. Look at the peer pressure in that movie, Bronx Tale. There was a lot of peer pressure. Like they didn't want him, trying to go out with the black girl. So there was peer pressure from the other kids. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of that in that movie. And that's why, like, even with, he got deeper and deeper in that movie. Like, it was just like he was a young kid and he was getting involved with it at first. But then, he sees, Sonny getting killed, and it all kind of came full circle it all, for him, I guess it was too late to make a change. But at that point in time, he could have made a change if he wanted to, seeing how it was all just.
Well, his character was similar to the Henry Hill character when Henry was young. I mean, the most famous line in Goodfellas is, from the time I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Well, then when he shows up in front of his mother dressed with a suit on.
Oh, she wanted to slap the shit out of him.
Right. You look like a little gangster. Well, he didn't answer it, but that's exactly what he wanted to look like.
So did the little C's mom did the same thing.
Exactly. That's right. He was emulating
out of him. What the hell?
He was emulating the guys. Yeah. He was
wearing the pasty shoes and the zoot suits and everything.
Right. Exactly. And if you remember the Goodfellas movie, when they finally introduced the real characters, because they had young characters for for Tommy and Henry.
Mhm.
How did they reveal who the character was? They shot from the feet up. They showed their shoes, and now
Yeah.
they come up, and you saw Ray Liotta and Pesci.
Yeah.
That's
all
pretty
of
dope.
these-
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they in the film business they call it the reveal.
The
They
reveal.
had to reveal who they were. There they were with those shoes on, and shoes are very important to mob guys. My friend Foxy, all he wanted to do was after we made money is go buy shoes. By the time he got killed, he had like 80 pairs of shoes in his closet.
Jeez. That many, man. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And how important were the shoes? In Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary, you would have a friend come visit you. No matter what size that guy was, he was going to wear your size shoes. And in the visiting room, he would slip them off and you would slip them on, like the con, whoever's in prison, and then
Right.
go back into the prison with these nice Salvatore Ferragamo shoes.
damn, man.
That
Just
was
those-
an important image in prison. So everything is about image, just like in the Bronx Tale, it was about image.
Yeah. So I mean, in a lot of ways, like for you, you could relate to it because you just when you were that age too, really wanted to be a made guy, but eventually you
lived
didn't
it.
want to. But
We
like,
lived it. We really lived it. Yeah.
yeah.
And when
Well,
he took a pocket full of money out of his, listen, you remember the scene when the kid went outside on the steps and De Niro peeled off, Chaz Palminteri peeled off a bill to give it to him? He had already started to have visions, the little kid. He said, I don't know if he said it, but he looked like, is that it? Then he gave him another bill.
he
Yeah.
wanted more.
No, that's what he said. He goes, he was doing the crap table.
Right.
We're doing the craps, and he's like, he went outside, and he finally acknowledged him
Right.
as a person, somebody that wasn't going to rat on him or whatever.
Trust
And
him.
then he
Yeah.
goes, "Here you go, kid," and he goes,
Yeah.
"That's it, that's it."
Yeah.
And then he gave him another bill, and he's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Whether
That's
it was
better.
a 20 or 100, it doesn't really show it.
Right.
But the kid's like, he wanted more.
Right. He was
He's like,
hooked.
hey, he's like, that's it. That's all I get.
Yeah. He was hooked. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, and I think a lot of that, when a lot of truth to it, I think is
Sure.
they're trying to bring you up because here's the thing. I think with that movie, the way it's based on, I think he was trying to bring that kid up. He didn't have a kid of his own.
Right.
He was bringing that kid up to take over his position if something ever happened.
Right. He was grooming him.
Well,
He was
Pesci
grooming
ended up taking over at the end.
Right.
But, I think he was trying to raise him up to be something like himself. His
Right.
age. But
And if you think about other movies, in the beginning of Scarface, they had nothing.
oh yeah, they come
And all
from
of a
Cuba
sudden
and
they
come to
got-
the United States, and
Right. They got money. Now they want more and more.
Yeah.
And listen,
it
the
was a
film
different
made
mafia type thing.
the film made cocaine dealers look like, oh, they're glamorous, man. And the documentary Cocaine Cowboys, if you look at it
Oh,
in
yeah.
Miami, without all that money down there, maybe Miami wasn't even built.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like I said, it's young kids wanting to try to, I don't know. I mean, back in the 80s when that movie, when the Scarface came out, it's like, oh man, this guy's fucking badass. He's Tony
Right.
Montana.
Right.
He's a say hello to my little friend. He did all this. shit,
Now they got
Yeah.
they got mothers giving their kids Halloween outfits with a gun. Say
Yeah.
hello to my little friend. They're glamorizing that
Yeah,
stuff.
and they
This is
shouldn't
how
do
much
that.
society has changed. Did I ever think that I could be on a podcast that years ago, 30, 40 years ago, they say, oh, a rat, he should just die somewhere. And today, people celebrate Sammy Gravano.
And all the other guys. There's so many.
Yeah.
I mean, I've interviewed so many ex-mob guys. It's insane. Both non-informants and the other guys that
Right.
did cooperate. So I mean, it's really a lot of people are interested in hearing it.
Yeah. Well, because they're hearing it, from the horse's mouth, And when I talk about the mob life and you remember the Bronx Tale, you somehow put it together, understanding more. Actually, you understand more when you hear how the life was. I mean, my little kid, when he was 10 years old, I kept him away from mob guys. Said, that's not the way you're going. Well, John Gotti didn't do that because Gotti's kid was only a couple of years older than my kid. And he embraced and he endorsed and, he celebrated the life in the mob. Whereas I told my kids, that is not what you're going to do. You're going to go to college.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to play our little ad real quick.
Okay.
Support our podcast, we got a few items that you can purchase. All of these items can be found in the video description below. The first one is Sal's book, The Sinatra Club. You can get this personally autographed by Sal. The next one in our hottest seller is the 1972 Sinatra Club playing cards. Back in Sal's Mafia days, he opened up his own social club named the Sinatra Club. Many mobsters would come to this club, even when there were all-out wars going on between different families. They would come to the Sinatra Club and play cards. Some of the mobsters that played with these cards were John Gotti, Dominic Cataldo, Tommy DeSimone, Foxy, Jimmy Burke, Willie Boy Johnson, Tony Roach, Henry Hill, Joe DeFede, Danny Fatico, Gene Gotti, Peter Gotti, Joey Scopo, and many more. We're selling each one of these cards for $10 a piece. These cards are limited, we only got 1,000 of them. The next item is an autographed picture of Sal from his Mafia days. Another item is the Dinner with the Mobster card. You can get this autographed as well. This was an event that Sal had hosted in the past. We also got the Ubat's production ticket from an event that Sal had hosted. This is also autographed. The last item we got to offer is Sal's book, The Sins of the Father. Again, you can find all these items in the video description below. Oh, there we go, right there. But, I was going to ask you, too. You talked about being a young kid and, like, the whole atmosphere of you playing at crap games. And that's when Young C, he really got into really liking that life. So for you, you had experienced that as well, right?
Yeah, I went to crap games with my Uncle Tony. I mean, he didn't leave me in the car. He brought me right in the middle of the action right there in the belly of the beast, man. Guys were, fading money on the floor, had pockets full of money, handfuls of money. Some guys went broke and they borrowed. But yeah, there was always a sense of excitement because every time you throw the dice, somebody wins and somebody loses, just like it was in Bronx Tale, where Jazz Palminteri's character figured out one guy was, bad luck. So they put him in the closet.
I remember that.
Yeah, then they had another guy.
Get him out of here, put a towel on his head.
They put him in the bathroom.
Yeah, he's bad luck. Throw the dice and lose. Get away from me.
Put his dice next to mine. Get him out of here.
The other guy, Fat the Whale or whatever, he was breathing on him.
Well, you're sweating on me.
Yeah, get him out of here. I mean, that's to show you the authority that the wise guy had and how everybody followed him.
Yeah, he threw him out. He's like, you're going to go in that closet. He goes, there ain't enough room for it. Yeah. You're going to have to put him in there anyway.
Right.
So they were they very superstitious like that? Then,
yeah,
when you
guys
were
are superstitious. That's right. Just like baseball players. Maybe they wear the same socks. I heard a football player say he wore the same underwear to every game.
Oh, God.
And mob guys are superstitious. Really? Yeah.
Damn. Well, that's funny as hell.
Well, one of the things is you go with what you know.
Right.
So if it feels comfortable and you're doing okay with it and nothing's going wrong, then keep going that same way.
Exactly.
And that's what people do.
Dad, you see that chat down here?
Which one?
Right here.
Ethan. Who's Ethan?
I don't even know how to look at it.
It says Ethan. He says, morning fellas. How's it going?
How's it going?
Who is that?
It's my friend. My dad knows him.
How's it going?
That's cool. Okay.
I don't know how to answer to it, but
no, just say hi to him.
How do you say hi?
Just hello. Hello. What do you mean? Just say hi.
What do I do on my computer?
No, you just say hi. And
just a voice.
Hey, what's up, Ethan?
Just like that.
All right. Well, I don't know. Yeah, not you. This is the first time I got on this thing, so.
Okay. What other points did you have that you wanted to ask him, Dan?
Nothing really. I mean, just I was thinking, and a lot of, I don't know, in a lot of the scenes it kept saying, let me see where it's at here. It's nobody cares. He says nobody cares. And in the movie, a lot of times it says when you get older, you'll understand.
Right.
You know, for me, when you get older, you understand. It's like my mom growing up. You know, we would get punished for stuff that we did, right? Um, Old school kind of people. You know, my mom would always say, "You made your own bed, you lay in it."
Right.
That was just something that, and I didn't know what that. I kind of knew what it meant, but I didn't know what it meant. When I got older, it's like if that's the way you want to live, then you lay in that atmosphere, you know. So then you learn from it, and you don't want to lay in that bed, then make your bed a different way, I guess. But when you get older, I guess you figure it out. I didn't know what it meant when I was a kid.
And we got funny lines because my wife, we've been together almost 10 years. You know, her dad was the truck driver, and he was you know, interesting guy, hardcore, good dad, you know, and she'd always get in trouble, boy, because she had two older brothers and they were always messing with her. And then he would look at her and you know, it's Karen, her name is Karen, but he'd say, Karen Marie, I'm gonna fix your wagon. He would say,
Oh yeah,
that's an old
Maggie,
saying.
yep.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we get into a little bogus, you know, funny argument. I look at her, I go, Karen Marie, I'm gonna fix your wagon,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, and she laughs because that's old school.
oh
Old
yeah.
school.
That's something that kids these days don't know because we don't teach them that
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah. If you ask a
The old
young
sayings and stuff.
yeah, 20-year-old kid, what is if your dad says he's gonna fix your wagon, what does it mean? I don't know. They
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
get
You
fix
have
the
to do
wagon.
good shit. How about that?
Well, you know, there at the end too of this movie, there was talk about like, and he was like narrated. He's like, when you die, nobody cares, right? Wasn't that like a major point that they had brought when Sonny was killed? That
Yeah.
was like the big thing. Nobody cares. Everybody's just laughing. They're
Right.
eating and hanging out, just making jokes and stuff. Like,
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at a funeral, um, somebody probably means the world to you. You know, um, they mean everything to you. But then there's people that you look at that are sitting there at the same funeral, and they're joking, they're laughing, and because they don't have the same feelings that you do for that person that passed away.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, my grandpa passed away. Yes, there's other people that don't feel the same feelings that I had for him when he passed away. And then I'm like looking at him like, how can they just be joking and laughing? And so when I look at the movie, nobody cares.
Right.
It's not that they don't care. It's just they don't have the same excitement that I have for my grandpa when he passed away. That I have that they don't share the same love.
Right. That connection. You had a special connection.
Yeah. They don't have that connection.
what did you experience, Sal? Like, did you ever go to like mob funerals and stuff?
Oh
And was
my
it kind of the
God.
same thing?
I got to tell you, my entire life, remember, I was 40 years old when I left the mob in 85. When I got to Texas, I never once again went to a funeral.
You're
For
just done.
years and years and years, I never went. Never. I mean, when I broke things, I broke a habit. I never got involved with, I never gambled in Texas. I never got involved in a crime in Texas. I did nothing the same that I did all those years in New York when I got to Texas. It was a brand new life, and I took advantage of it.
Well,
I didn't know I was going to get involved with film, movies, or books, but I was certainly, I guess I was more enthusiastic about how the government treated me because they'd bring me to these conferences and I would tell these stories, just like this Bronx Tale thing, you know, because it's a family story. It really is a good family story.
well,
And you
when
got to
you
take from it what you can, you know, use as an advantage. I mean, what's the real message in the Bronx Tale? The father doesn't want the kid involved in crime. And I mean, when you really think about the reality of Bronx Tale, what happened to the lead character?
got killed, or well, I
He
guess
went to
Sonny got killed.
jail. He went to
Yeah.
jail for murder. That was very sad. DeLillo, Brancata went to jail for, manslaughter. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I seen like his interviews he's recently done and stuff, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean,
He became a drug addict in prison in real life. So there was the curse there. That's no different than Henry Hill. He never broke drug addiction. When I met him in the 90s after being in Hollywood, God, he got 300,000 from the movie. He came to my apartment complex borrowing $20.
that's
He was
insane,
broke. Yeah, broke.
especially after that movie. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
And
So
his
I mean,
book.
he never changed. He never changed his lifestyle. That's very sad.
Yeah. Travis here says, "What mobster was running the Bronx when the movie was made?"
I really don't know because I didn't know the mob guys in the Bronx, to be honest.
Dean thinks it would have been the Chin.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, you brought up like the whole funeral to stuff, like, but before you left and went into the program, like, were you going to funerals a lot then?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
all the time? Because I mean, everybody was getting killed and stuff. like-
Family, friends, yeah, guys getting killed. Oh, guy got killed. Then 6 months later, the brother was killed. I mean, it was common. It was very common, and Gotti was cold. He would, mention, oh, that guy, yeah, he got killed. Yeah, you won't see him anymore. It was just like a footnote. See ya, bye. And that's the way it was. I mean, John Gotti got cold. The older he got, the isolated he got. Sure, at the end, he died a miserable death, 10 years in jail with cancer.
Yeah. Well,
Nothing happy about that.
Pete here was talking about the main character. He said his
Right.
partner killed a cop.
Right.
So you didn't know much about what happened to the lead character in this movie then?
Well, he got involved with a burglar, I think. They were doing a burglary or something. And I think one of his partner had a gun, shot. I'm not even sure if it was, on purpose, but shot the cop, killed him, and he wound up going to jail, getting 10 years. And of course, once he was in jail, he became a drug addict. You can read about it. You can Google. You can find his Wikipedia page. His name is Lilo Brancata, and you can see what happened to him. And he was eventually in The Sopranos, the actor, but his life went into the toilet.
Well, he I actually got him on Instagram. He does like some of my posts that I put out there.
Well, good. Maybe he's turned his life around. I hope so.
From what I can see, yeah, I think so. But it's interesting. Like he's on my Instagram and stuff, liking shit. And I watched the movie as a kid growing up.
Yeah.
But
let me ask you about. Go ahead, Adrian.
Well, I was going to say this is my favorite quote. This guy commented in here. He said, "The worst thing in life is wasted talent."
Right.
That's my favorite quote in there, man. Like,
right.
I mean, because it's true, and I've interviewed so many ex-gangsters, criminals, former addicts, and everything,
Right.
and like they all have that same thing in common. Like they talk about how they wasted so much of their life, and then eventually, a lot of people around them ended up dying, and they didn't get to change their life around or any of that kind of shit. So
there's a lot of people that have talent. They don't see their talent.
Yeah.
Other people see their talent, but they don't recognize it themselves, because what happens is you get so engulfed in your maybe it's your addiction or whatever it is. Addiction's a bad thing.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you right now. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, fucking sex, whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You get so engrossed in it.
Yeah.
You don't realize that there's certain things that you do that people are like, man, how does he not know that he's doing such beauty? You don't know. I mean, there's people that I work for the railroad, but there's so many like cars, like railroad cars that are graffitied and painted on. And I'm like, these guys could be like cartoon editors. They could be, doing shit for The Simpsons, doing shit for any freaking cartoon artist and making shitloads of money. But they waste their time doing that on a railroad car.
Yeah.
Why? Because they don't realize it. No one's
right.
given the opportunity they never took the chance to try to do something for themselves.
You know, addictions are dangerous, but they're also deceptive. When I first testified against Gotti, the prosecutor, she said to me, Sal, you're going to be the first witness in the first Gotti RICO trial because you're the best storyteller. Then after a while, she got to know me and she says, you're a junkie for excitement. And I never stopped thinking about that.
No,
And I realized
thinks you
that,
get off on it.
yeah, there was a lot of things I did in my life, like watching my kids play football. I was excited, and I was a junkie for excitement. Then getting up and speaking at the FBI graduation in 1989, I got excited that all these people were listening to me. So I was a junkie for excitement. It took years and years to identify it. And finally, maybe about 10, 15 years ago, I don't get excited about anything anymore, like real excited where it fills me up like a drug.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing this stuff, I don't get nearly excited as I did years, even all the television I've done. So I've learned to live with my personality, and I sort of temper that. And being doing this stuff with Adrian since last year, I had to really think about my personality. I didn't want to seem excited because then people would have thought that I was endorsing crime, which I was not endorsing my life. What I'm telling people is to get away from that organized crime, get away from the drug dealing. So that's really the message.
Yeah.
So I had to think about my personality.
Yeah. When one of the things, and I just mentioned it to my mom and dad the other day, I know they're going to church and stuff. They might be listening, but they'll still watch it later on. But, you know, when I was a kid growing up, I don't know, you know, sitting at the dinner table, talking to my parents and just being there, you know, was, you know, a lot of people don't spend time at the dinner table together anymore, you know.
That's right.
Growing up, we used to, that was a norm. That was, we're going to sit down, we're going to eat dinner, we're going to break bread, we're going to, you know, talk about what happened today. You know, no matter what, you had a meal together.
Right.
And that's something I'm always going to remember, something I'll never forget.
Right.
At that dinner table, just besides eating, Sal, there was something else that you would learn. And what I learned was, you know, you got struggles in life. One thing I gathered from that table was there's always going to be someone out there that's tougher than you. And there's going to be somebody out there that's weaker than you. And what you need to do is find a happy medium and get along with both sides.
Right.
That way you ain't got to worry about going down or going up. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but you don't have to worry about fighting. You don't have to worry about being down and trying to get up again. Just get along with both sides.
But today, I got to tell you, like, you know, 8 or 10 years ago when I first got with Karen, her daughter was just a couple of years younger than Adrian. She didn't enjoy going to the table.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to figure out why. And the thing about it was when she was younger, when she went to the table with Karen and her father, there was nothing but conflict and negativity. And so that she didn't enjoy sitting at the table eating the food. So then I had to tell Karen, let's not discuss anything when we have a meal because I cook a lot.
Yeah.
Let's just enjoy the food. And finally, she got the message. That was a lot of change for her.
Yeah,
okay? Because she was conditioned as a little kid. She would go into the closet and hide because she didn't want to hear her mom and dad argue.
It's terrible, man.
Who was that said the comment?
Oh, we got a couple here. I was going to put out here. Morsi Boy, he says, time at the table as a family is important to our family too. I'm grateful my parents influenced me to do that as well.
Absolutely. Very important.
Lee here says, I have 2 teen boys. I put one through college and the other through a wall. LOL.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's the the yin and the yang. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Another person here said, our family never sat around a table. We sat around watching sports usually.
Well, that's okay. At least you did do that together.
Yeah, some kind of family time, you know?
Yeah.
As long as you're together.
Yeah. Peacemaker here says, when I was a teenager working in Inglewood, there was a catering house there that supplied a place out in Long Island called the Galaxy.
Wow.
There was always a mob wedding there every
Well,
weekend.
there you go. You got a little touch of the mob there.
Yeah, that was their experience with the mob. But here, if you guys got any questions that you want to comment on the live chat, just do so now. I'm going to play the ad again.
All right.
Support our
Well, that was a quick
podcast.
hour.
We got a few items that you can purchase. All of these items can be found in the video description below. The first one is Sal's book, The Sinatra Club. You can get this personally autographed by Sal. The next one in our hottest seller is the 1972 Sinatra Club playing cards. Back in Sal's Mafia days, he opened up his own social club named the Sinatra Club. Many mobsters would come to this club, even when there were all-out wars going on between different families. They would come to the Sinatra Club and play cards. Some of the mobsters that played with these cards were John Gotti, Dominic Cataldo, Tommy DeSimone, Foxy, Jimmy Burke, Willie Boy Johnson, Tony Roach, Henry Hill, Joe DeFede, Danny Fatico, Gene Gotti, Peter Gotti, Joey Scopo, and many more. We're selling each one of these cards for $10 a piece. These cards are limited. We only got 1,000 of them. The next item is an autographed picture of Sal from his Mafia days. Another item is the Dinner with the Mobster card. You can get this autographed as well. This was an event that Sal had hosted in the past. We also got the Ubots production ticket from an event that Sal had hosted. This is also autographed. The last item we got to offer is Sal's book, The Sins of the Father. Again, you can find all these items in the video description below. We got a few more comments in here. They said, our dinner was 5 o'clock every day except Thanksgiving and Christmas.
We probably should spend more time talking about what families should do and how they should sit down and enjoy food together.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Dean here says, he said, Adrian, your old man or old boy knows what he's talking about. I can see he brought you up right. What a gentleman.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, same thing. Morrissey Boy says, it's great to see your father on the panel, Adrian. Yeah, we thought it would be cool, a little segment to do here because, he's full of information from this movie that we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah.
And it was a good movie, and Sal actually lived that life. Huh?
Was you going to say full of shit?
No. Yeah, I guess that too. Both of that. That too, he can be. Yeah.
It was nice that you invited me over to do this. It was a pleasure when I met Sal and we took pictures next to my dad's car. That was really, really neat and a good experience. And, just those moments we'll never get those back again, but
yeah, it's all good. Family experiences never go away. It's all good.
Yeah,
no, it was really fun that.
Oh yeah, you're always welcome here, Sal. No matter what, you come through town, give us a call. There was always a sign in my mom's house, well, my aunt Angie's house, but it meant the same thing. Mi casa was su casa. My house was your house.
We'll be coming through there because we got to go see Karen's mom in Ohio.
Oh,
well,
okay.
She's
through. Let me know.
Yeah, we'll come through there again.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Anytime we can meet up, man. Yeah, I'd be down. Go out to eat this time and eat something healthy.
But I wanted to ask a question towards the end of the movie.
Ask it.
So at the end of the Bronx Tale, okay, so he was Sonny was slapping C around. And he said, "What the fuck? Where did you go with my car? What'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you do?"
Yeah.
He's upset and he's like, there's a device under my car.
Yeah.
So I know it was a bomb, but it never really, the movie really never said what happened. Do you think, it leads people to think different things. So I watched it plenty of times. Do you think that maybe the dad was so jealous of Sonny that he put a hit on him, or what do you think?
I don't know. Maybe that was the quiet subliminal message that all mob guys are going to face the possibility of death. So was he trying to warn the kid? Was he just trying to? I mean, I don't think they closed out that little touch. That
No,
incident.
they didn't. That's what I'm asking you. Would you?
And usually in film, that's inappropriate or it's poor writing. I'm not saying it was poorly written. All I'm saying is they left a little angle hanging.
Just for everybody to look, try to
Yeah.
put it in their mind.
Yeah. So if we
There's
ask 10,
so many different scenarios.
if we ask 10 people, maybe we'll get 5 or 10 different.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the kid, the one kid went in there and shot Sonny in the head.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did that, but the car before that was a hit before that.
Yeah.
Comment below what you think. It was I mean, it could be endless possibilities. Yeah.
But which is a good thing. I mean, it used to happen a lot of times, Oh, who's that doggy out?
Oh,
ain't
yeah. My
socks.
little dog is here.
Oh, shit.
And Sal's let's see. Rich here says that's great parenting, Sal.
Yeah.
Dean here says, love it, guys. I'm off now. Away to have a dinner. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep on doing what you are doing, is what he put.
Yeah. Yeah. We enjoy it. We do enjoy it.
Morsi Boy here says, Sal, you may as well swing by North Carolina too.
Oh, yeah. We get out that way. We get there. We'll get out that way.
Wyatt here says, hello, everyone. And then Morsi Boy said, I've never even seen the movie Bronx Tale. It's a good movie,
then
man. You
he'll
should check it
watch
out. Yeah. Before we left, I wanted to show people that what I made. So if you want to book Sal for like any kind of speaking or engagements or anything, here's the website here. I just made like a little tab on it because Sal got this. What this came from is like, okay, so he's got the new project we're working on, crime movies with Sal Polisi. So
Right.
this was just, to give a little background on what the whole segment of the show is going to be about that we went to California to do. But here I added another tab on the home tab, I believe. Or actually it's on more. So you can go to book Sal for a speaking engagement. And then here, I put pictures of him. I've said contact Sal if you would like to, book him for a speaking engagement. And you can email this email right here and it'll reach out to me and Sal. So I'll even put it in the live chat, the link here. But yeah, I mean, if anybody has interest or knows anybody that might have interest, just, reach out to us, man. Or we're down for whatever you guys got going on.
How do you buy stuff? He said.
It's a good hour. This has been a good hour.
Yeah. We,
been good.
Yeah. I'm just reading these.
Glad I was able to talk to you, gentlemen. I mean, it's sometimes I'm on the road. I got to leave tomorrow, but every
You
other
gentlemen.
week, I got to, not always able to be on a live chat. That's cool that you invited me.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
We enjoyed it. It's good.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. I mean, when Adrian first started doing that stuff in my shed, he used to go out there and then he had parties and drink out there and shit. And I didn't really like it. I didn't like it because he was out there boozing and stuff, smoking cigars. But, I kind of did. But then at the same time, I was struggling with it because I'm like, am I enabling him to be out there drinking and smoking and having parties and shit? And then I thought, well, did I do that to my kid? I don't know, but he turned out good though.
We got some good messages. We hear people that have, got kicked habits. So it's all good.
Oh yeah, no, he does good, but I just, sometimes he's in that shed and I'm like, I'd get mad.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what, when I first started out like that, Sal, because I interviewed my dad first and, we'd just go out there, have cigars, have some beers, and have little kickbacks, invite people over. And then that's how I started my podcast, was just, talking about people and how they're helping the world or in some kind of way. And then it turned into the Invest in Yourself show. And that's when I came across you. But yeah, eventually once I guess got kicked out of the house, and then I started, really focusing more on my show, and it really
Right.
advanced over the last couple of years. I'll tell you that, man. And the
Yeah,
messages got better.
we should invite some of our regulars on there to share some of their family stories.
Yeah. Who
That
knows,
would
man?
be good. It would be
Why
good.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still live. So this guy said Adrian's a party. I would have never thought.
Who's that?
Okay.
Oh, Morsi boy. He's a fisherman. He makes fishing content stuff.
Here's Paul.
Yeah, Paul says fantasizing
Fascinating
stories.
Bob stories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're old stories.
Yeah, they are. Pete said, would putting salt in espresso be a new way to whack someone in the mob today?
That might be revolutionary.
Yeah, Morsi boy says you don't want to hear my family story.
Well, they're all good. They all turn out good.
Yeah, for the most part, man. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in and watching today. We had fun today with this live. And if you haven't seen this week, me and Sal put out an episode about Greg Scarpa Part 2. So all you got to do is go to the YouTube page and click on that. And also, I dropped an interview on maybe like Monday or probably Wednesday with the guy that was in the Mexican Mafia and went to prison and came out and changed his life and got, became a spreading the message of God kind of thing. So
Well,
it's a good interview. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've also been putting a lot of clips from our old podcasts up each day so people can get more videos and can watch little 3 to 4 minute clips of just stories about you talking about stuff. And
Right.
they've been doing good, getting good views and traction. So just keep checking them out. We got a lot of stuff on our page that we've been posting every day. A lot of shorts too, YouTube shorts. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next Sunday.
All right, we'll see you.